Hello, all. Welcome back to my fragrance journey. My name is Ron, and today I have got two fragrances that are basically on their way out. Um, in that I've used quite a bit of them. So I'm somebody who really likes to watch Empties videos, whether it be fragrance or just beauty in general, makeup, hair care, skincare. I love it all. And I think that that's always a really good indication of how somebody feels if they can say, yes, I've used all of something. Or in my case, almost all of something. So, with both of these fragrances, they've still got a little bit left. This one is quite a little bit. And then this one, I don't know if, oh, here with the light, yeah, you can see. We've got just under a fourth of a bottle. So definitely a fair chunk still in this one, but we're definitely cresting towards the home stretch. So, what are these two fragrances and what do I think? Well, the first one I'll talk about is Nirvana Amethyst. This is by Elizabeth and James, which is a now sadly defunct brand or house. They actually started, I believe, as a fashion line, and I think did fashion up until the end as well. It's a line or a brand that was created by Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, and I couldn't tell you much about the fashion. I vaguely remember seeing it online and stuff, and I think, probably looked nice, but what I was in for was the fragrances, and I think that was actually a lot of people. I actually think that I've always wondered if maybe that was somewhat of their downfall, as I think that maybe they didn't understand that they really should stick with the fragrance thing and kind of just let the clothing slide, or maybe they just were sick of it all. I don't know. But the fragrances were damn good. And I would love to get Nirvana Black again. I've long since run out of my bottle of that. It's a very good one, but it goes for a lot of money online. Sadly, I think this one will be soon too, because it's no longer on FragranceNet. They were running through their the last bits of their dead stock, and that's actually where I purchased this, and where I had been purchasing a lot of Elizabeth and James was FragranceNet, because they had again quite a lot of the dead stock there, and it was still relatively inexpensive. I think now they've only got one. I think it's the bourbon one or the rose one of those two. And then once that's gone, there I think that's it. I don't think there's anything left except for what's on eBay and Mercari, which again for Nirvana Black, God fuzzies. Um, that one's very expensive. The others are kind of in the middle. This one right now probably isn't too much, but I need to hop on it if I want to get another bottle, and I think I do because it's a good one. This is a fragrance. Before I even get into notes and things, which I mean there isn't many, but it is overwhelmingly cedar. And I say overwhelmingly to mean that that's just overwhelmingly the profile or the note that comes out of it. Not that it's an overwhelming fragrance. It's actually quite lovely, but it's cedar. It is pencil shaving cedar at that, which might sound odd or off-putting, but it's something that you'll see described a lot with cedar in fragrances, especially where it features more prominently. And it's usually pretty apt, and it is in this case. That said, it's not necessarily like just some kind of niche, off the wall, photorealistic pencil shaving scent. It's still a full rounded perfume. There's still other elements, but that's the one that stands out first and foremost to me. After that, I get the tobacco that's in this. I get it in a very smoothing, warming, and sweetening sort of way. It's not deeply impactful as far as, again, the cedar's the prominent note here, but the tobacco is definitely there, and it's just adding, yeah, a really especially the sweetness, and again it's that tobacco sweetness, so it's not sugary, it's not caramely, it's that almost slightly like sticky or I don't know, just it's tobacco. I mean, if you've ever smelled actual tobacco that goes in like a pipe or something, um, or heck, if you've ever smelled unlit like carton of cigarettes or something, there's sometimes that sweetness to it, and that's what this is. So it's really a natural, I guess, sweetness is the best way to put it, and it just makes for a really comforting scent. There are other things in it. I'll pull up the notes right now. I don't get anything else but those two as far as anything that's kind of distinct. There is another sort of, je ne sais quoi. There's a little something back there, but it really just feels like whatever else is in the mix is kind of just blending things and kind of also helping to smooth and ultimately all of it comes together to be just really comforting. But what is it? So it is, honeysuckle and spices. So tobacco, honeysuckle, cedar, and spices. Again, couldn't tell you about the others. All I get is the cedar and the tobacco and then something. So they're in there, sure, why not? But it's not very distinct. And it just, again, makes for a really comforting fragrance, really warm fragrance. This is a fragrance that is, I think, good for many situations. I'm not ever so big on telling people what to wear when. I'm always big on you wear what you want when you want. But if you want some context, I think that this would be good pretty much any situation. It's definitely good for an office. I've worn this back when I used to actually go into the office. I've worn this many times for that because it's not incredibly like strong. It's not overbearing. It's, I think, fairly inoffensive because it's really not, floral or gourmand or anything like that. It's just woody, some warm, soft, sweet, woody vibes. And I think that that's pretty pleasing to a lot of people. It's also, though, good for, just casual around the house. Be nice if you went to, maybe a nice dinner. I still think it smells pretty and appropriate for something like that. So, yeah, it's a good all-arounder. And, I'm sad that I'm towards the end. I mean, I'm definitely going to enjoy it, but now I really got to do some hunting. Because I thought it was still on FragranceNet, and I went and looked before this video, and that's when I was like, oh, shit, it's not. So, I got to really be precious with this. Moving on, though, to something that I'm not going to be so precious with because, one, it's still in production. Yay. Two, it is, while I'm at the very tail end, it is one that has gone off. So I'll definitely be talking about it in its true form and not so much as it is now. This is Eau de Cologne Imperiale by Guerlain. This is a very old fragrance. Like many Guerlain greats, this has been around since the 1800s. What's the official word? 1860. Since 1860, and oh boy, is it good! Of course, in the iconic bottle here, the bees, which I love. But this fragrance, I've gone through. If I hadn't said it already, I think maybe I did. But this is my second bottle actually. And I will absolutely be repurchasing this probably sooner rather than later since I've realized with this video, because I sprayed this before just to see, it's gone off this last little bit, which I'm not too surprised. I hadn't worn it in quite some time. Not that it's like stored out in like the sunlight or anything wild, but it's just been a long time. And this is a fairly fresh fragrance, or a very fresh fragrance. And those don't tend to always have the same amount of shelf life, especially when you put it in a clear bottle, Guerlain. But just kidding. Just kidding. Keep it. I like it. It's beautiful. But what does this smell like before it goes off? Well, this is a citrus fragrance, but this is a green citrus fragrance in my mind. And what I mean by that is this is 1000% beginning to end the smell of citrus leaves, specifically thinking of like lime and lemon, not your like necessarily like oranges and things, but lime and lemon leaves that have been torn. And I say that so just intensely because I very much know what that smells like. So it takes me back to when I was a kid and we'd be walking home from school, especially thinking of a very specific route back when I was in fifth grade. We'd walk home, and there were at a couple different houses. There were some lemon trees and lime trees, which wasn't deeply uncommon. I'm from Southern California originally, and so yeah, they would have their citrus trees. And on the way home, usually you couldn't get any citrus because that would have definitely been picked before the kids got out of school, because I think most homeowners realized that get it or it's going to get got. So the citrus would be gone, but the leaves would still be there. And so we'd walk by and we might smell them, or in my case, you might pluck a few leaves and just smell those, tear them off, rip them up, smell those as you walk home because it smelled so pretty. Um, and that is what this smells like. Like, transports me right back to that. And I love it for that because it's not a sweet fragrance. It's not a sweet citrus, which I like sweetness, but it just isn't that. It's just truly those green leaves torn up in your hand. You just, imagine ripping up leaves, putting them in your hand, and then just smelling them. It's that. It's not necessarily zest. It's just the leaves. And it's again citrus, but there is a green note to it. There is a vegetal, leaf like greenness to it. And I love it so much. And it's so fresh. It's not a punchy citrus because of that. It's very dialed back though. It's not just, like lemon zest or fresh squeezed lemon or anything like that, or lime. It's just the leaves. And it's, oh my gosh, is it so good. And especially for warmer months, which I have a lot of here in Arizona, it's really good for that because it just makes you, it's one of those fragrances that, especially again, thinking of me here in Arizona, I have times where, it gets hot, you get a little sweaty, and maybe it's middle of the day, and maybe you can't just take a shower right that second. Well, I'm not always so big on just piling on more fragrance because that can be kind of gross too. You're just kind of like putting, perfume on, nasty, and that doesn't always work. But this one, it does because it's just, again, so clean, so fresh and so clean. But truly, it really is. And it just kind of, again, it doesn't necessarily mask, it just freshens up. It's almost like Febreze for the body, it just freshens up what's already there. So it's not necessarily like weird florals on top of like BO or something, but it just adds a clean element. And I love it for that. And it's something that would probably actually be quite good to layer, but I just always love it as it is because I think that when a fragrance to me is so singularly of one thing, and I actually have a few of those that are like that, and I think I've talked about a fair bit of those recently, but there's something just pleasing when something is so singularly of one scent. Now, again, that's to me. It might be different to you. You might get a whole host of complexity that I don't, and that's fine. That's what's fun about fragrance. But for me, I enjoy the simplicity of this one. It's just simple goodness. And yes, I will be repurchasing. And to touch on the way it's gone off, it's not like rotten. It's not putrid. It's nothing like that. It's like most fragrances when they go off. The top is kind of, and not that I would ever say that there's a big distinct top, middle, base with this. Again, I just get one thing basically, but the opening, I should say, it opens with a sour tang that's not right. And yes, there's citrus fragrance, but it's not sour. It's not tangy. It's quite smooth actually, and quite just fresh. And that's not what happens when you spray it. You get that sourness. Also, after that dissipates in like a minute or two, then it just kind of goes to a slightly sweet, almost like orange vibe, a neroli orange vibe, which that's not bad, but it's incredibly subtle, very, very, very much a skin scent. Not that this was ever a beast, but it's definitely far, far subdued. It's an orange, profile that's never been there. And then I also get a little bit of woodiness, which also I never smell normally. Which actually should lead me into the notes because I realize now I haven't said them. And it does explain some of this. So the top notes are citruses, lemon verbena, bergamot, neroli, lemon, orange. The base is rosemary, cedar, and tonka bean. So again, normally I'm just getting citrus, like or green citrus, the leaves. So maybe that neroli, I don't know. Maybe the lemon and verbena. Um, and then again, some of the leaves. That's all I ever get. I couldn't tell you that I get anything else. But now that it's again gone off, I do get some of that orange. And I do get some of that cedar, not pencil shaving cedar, but I get woodiness, which again might not be bad, but it's so subdued. Like I literally have to press my nose to my skin to smell it. Um, and again, it opens up just very tangy and unpleasantly sour. So I just don't love it. It's not great. It's not horrible, but like there's not much to it. So I just need to get a new bottle, is what the word is. And that's what I'm going to do. So these are my two near empty fragrances. I've got others that have big dents, but nothing that's quite as close to the end as these two. And yeah, in both cases, I want more. So we'll see what happens. But let me know down below. Are there any fragrances that are almost on the way out for you? Do you still love them, or do you love them more? Do you hate them? Have you tried any of these? Probably some of the Nirvanas, maybe. But if you've tried this one, I'd be very interested to see what you think and what you get out of it. But yeah, I thank you so much for watching and, as always, for joining me on my fragrance journey. And I hope you have a good rest of the day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.